Is intimacy anorexia intentional? Now, if you're watching this, I'm going to believe that you know a little bit about intimacy anorexia. It's the active withholding of spiritual, emotional, sexual intimacy from your spouse. Everyone else thinks you're wonderful, but with your spouse, you're too busy, you're blaming them, withholding love, praise spiritually, sex, unwilling to talk about your feelings, using anger and silence as a way to control, being critical, and your spouse feels like a roommate. But is this intentional? Does the intimacy anorexic actually, scratch their head and say, well, how can I create pain today? Now, this is a really important question, because when you're married and alone and your spouse understands intimacy anorexia, you would think, well, this should all disappear. They get it. They should just stop doing it. It's really a lot harder than that. Intimacy anorexia is about changing your nature. It's not like alcohol or drug or even sex addiction where you stop a behavior. And if you stop that one behavior, you are sober. Intimacy anorexia has several behaviors. These are lifelong patterns of protecting themselves from intimacy, not looking bad, being in object relationship with self, moving from object relationship to intimacy and relational reality with a spouse. These are huge challenges for someone if they're taking this journey of recovery. First of all, if you're that person, thank you. What a huge change for yourself, your life, your family, your spouse, your sex life. So much of your life is going to change. But let's get back to this question. Is it intentional? I like to say that yes and no. So let me deal with the no part first. Now remember, any addiction robs you of emotional, spiritual, and moral maturity. So an intimacy anorexic is operating somewhere in the early adolescent stages. So it's very common for them to be immature, especially when it comes to emotional things or things that involve them looking bad. We'll talk more about that in a moment. But this is really important for you to understand. So some of this is development. It takes time. Just because they read the book Intimacy Anorexia, they're not going to get it the first day. It's going to take some time. So some of these behaviors are reoccurring because they've been lifelong patterns and they're on automatic pilot. Now, do they create pain and distance? Yes. Are they successful at creating pain and distance? Yes. And therefore, there is some level of hitting the mark and it being intentional. I like to tell intimacy anorexics, if you're hitting the bullseye 100% of the time, there has to be intentionality. If you know talking about X brings the result of your spouse being distant, and you're intentionally bringing up the topic, especially after being close or connected or on your way to being close, you did sabotage that, and that is intentional. So some of the intimacy anorexia is absolutely intentional. I'm feeling unsafe. I've got to manage my personal anxiety. So I'm going to shield or shoot you. I'm going to do something that's going to be critical. I'm going to blame you. I'm going to do something to offset this so that you take a step back or I take a step back. Now, in intimacy anorexia, if someone's active in their addiction, they would love for you to take a step back so you look like the problem. And that would be intentional. You see this intentionality happening again and again and again. Now, I want to talk about something I call a reflex. Now, the reflex happens more about when the spouse is asking a question to the intimacy anorexic, and the obvious answer is not in their favor. It makes them look like they didn't think through something, that they're flawed, that they made a mistake, that they weren't perfect, their judgment wasn't clear, something that makes them look not so good. Well, anytime that the intimacy anorexic feels like they're going to go to that bad box, especially early in recovery, when they go to the bad box, they're all bad. So they really resist that. So there's almost this reflex. Sometimes they'll even just flat out lie about that they did something that they didn't do. And then they'll try to get to it before you realize that they didn't do it. And you're like, why would someone do that? Just say you didn't do it. Because to say I didn't do it makes me look like a failure. And I don't want to look like a failure. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to be bad, because to be bad is to be unloved. Now, that doesn't make sense to anyone in relational reality. We all know we make mistakes. We all know we're imperfect. But early in recovery, the intimacy anorexic may cover up or out and out lie about something, and it drives you crazy. And of course, lying's intentional. Of course, there's some intentionality to that. but it's almost reflexive. It almost happens before they can think. So if they're early in recovery, you might want to be patient with that and process that through and say, wow, I'm really sad that you couldn't just be authentic with me. Try to use words like that as opposed to, you lied, you're being dishonest, and trying to put them in that bad box. Just say, you had an opportunity to be authentic. You could have been just honest about, like, that didn't happen, or you didn't get to that today. You put it on your list, but it didn't get done. I would have understood that. But I really don't understand this lack of being unauthentic. Now, there are a lot of intentional behaviors, and this is where I go to the yes. There are a lot of intentional behaviors and strategies that the intimacy anorexic uses to create distance and pain. Now, how to know if it's an intimacy anorexic strategy? In the book, I talk about this. It's exclusive to you. In other words, they don't do this to anyone else. Like, suppose that they're always on time, except for you. For you, they're 15, 20, 30 minutes late, and they might not call, because that creates distance, which to you feels like pain, but for them, it's distance. It's exclusive to you. It's effective. Every time they do that thing, it creates some distance or chaos or pain in the relationship, and ultimately results in there being distance in the relationship, which is the end goal for intimacy anorexic. Okay? So it's exclusive to you, it's effective, and last, it's repetitive. So this behavior keeps going on for years or decades, and it always has the same impact. On those behaviors, those are 100% intentional.